Hello crafty friends, it's Jess from jesscrafts.com, and today I wanted to share 5 tips for how you can save time with sentiments on your card. I don't always like to craft fast. Sometimes I like to spend a long time coloring an image, but having some time-saving tricks can help you to make cards quickly when you need to or want to. And so I just wanted to share some of those ideas with you today. Also, I wanted to share something that I'd recently gotten asked about as part of this video. So, the thing that I was asked about recently was my banner template. So you may have seen me use this a few times in videos. And what I do is I picked my most popular banner, like the ones I reach for the most. And one of the tips is keep those out on your desk. So I have this magnetic flower from Twiddler's Nook, and it can stand up on my desk. I keep my favorite banner and sentiment strip dies on it. That way I can just reach for them. There's other ways you can do this. You can just keep a sturdy magnet. You could, I've seen people put them in picture frames, like put a piece of magnet in a picture frame and put that on their desk, or just adhere some magnetic backing, the same thing you might use to store your dies, adhering that to the wall or some part of their desk, etc. Lots of choices there. Magnetic vent covers is what I use to store my dies, so I'll link those for you. But the Twiddler's Nook thing is kind of pretty for on top of your desk. So I have my favorite dies there, and then say I cut out this large one because that fits the sentiment that I want. I can now place this inside, and maybe, because I like to make multiples often when I'm making cards, and so I maybe need to stamp the same sentiment on 4 different banners. I've placed this in my MISTI. Use whatever stamping tool is your favorite, and now I can make it faster. This can even help even if you don't use a stamp tool. If you're just using a stamp block, just having it held down rather than sort of loosely floating on your desk, and it being held more flat, because often after you die cut it kind of curls a bit at the edges, or it can depending on the cardstock. I can place my sentiment down, stamp it, pick it up, place another one down. I can use it multiple times. How I created this, I picked my favorite size, and this time I made it a little bit bigger. And I've added an extra sentiment die. And I want to put this light tack tape. This is Frog Delicate Painter's Tape. It's my personal favorite. Washi tape works, other painter's tape works. And I've die cut them all out. Then on the back, I've placed my Frog Delicate tape across so that the non-sticky side is facing me right now, and the sticky side is going to come through the banners. That's kind of what I was asked about, how did I make this? So the sticky side's sticking up, so that way when I place this down, it holds the banner. And then what's also nice is, beyond just being able to hold it in place and stamp multiple really quickly, I can stamp a bunch of sentiments at one time. So say I know I'm going to make a big batch of thank you cards. I can pick out 5 different thank you sentiments and 5 different, sizes, so that each one fits on its individual banner die. Maybe I will have a longer one, but then I have a really tiny one. I pick out 5 sentiments and I place them on, and I can stamp them all at once. And so one press of my MISTI will get me 5 sentiment dies, and then take them out, put new ones in. I kind of like to die cut a bunch at one time too. So rather than just cutting, say, 4 really long ones, because that's what I'm going to use on the project that I'm working on that day, a lot of times I will send a bunch of my banners, maybe grab a little handful and send them all through the die cut machine at once, and then that way I'll have some of these on hand in popular colors. I tend to stamp a lot on craft and white for sentiments. I like the way black looks. you know, black cardstock with like white heat embossing, but it's a little bit more time consuming, so I don't always do it. Okay, speaking of that though, if you do like the look of black with white writing, I recommend as a time-saving tip, and is just to get that look easy, is the Simon Says stamp sentiment strips. They don't only come like this. I think they also come with white backgrounds and black words, or maybe even colorful words or colorful backgrounds. But my favorite are these that are black with the white, because then you can kind of get that look of heat embossing without the trouble of it. And you can get some sentiments without having to like commit to a stamp set. So they're kind of grouped by theme. This one's a holiday one, like a Christmas. And so maybe I don't need a lot of any one of these particular sentiments, or I just really want to be quick. There's a couple of Merry Christmases I can pull out, or I can change up the sentiments because there'll be a couple of a similar size. You can try to place your banner dies over it. These here are from Whimsy stamps. I like them because you would be able to see through them. The other ones that are sort of in my favorites right now are the Cat Scrappiness. And while I use them a ton, they're not so good for placing over. So I would kind of, if you maybe are thinking that you like these, Simon Says stamp has some dies that kind of match up well with these as far as I understand. Or think about which dies in your collection have the cutout center. Okay, so another way that, and I've kind of touched on this already, is stamping multiple. Like, you know, I maybe only need the long thanks for this card, but I know I'm going to need some other thank you cards soon or someday, and so I stamp a couple. The other thing that I would do is, and then similar to what I said before, is when I die cut a sentiment strip, I maybe cut a couple. I sometimes do that with word dies too. So I know I want to use this hello for my card, but I grab the other ones out of the package and I just die cut them all, and then I have the extras right there in the back, so that when I pull out this, because I think I want to use this hugs for example, I can look behind and see, hey, are there any hugs already in there from previous die cutting? And again, I know certain colors I use a lot. I use black a lot, I use white a lot. And I'll even be comfortable cutting extra whites at any time, because a lot of times what I will do is stack my sentiment dies. So I want, maybe I want a red sentiment, but I want it to be 3 layers thick. I am okay then grabbing 2 layers of white and then 1 layer of red on top. So, you know, if you're going to make the pass through the die cut machine, sometimes it's helpful, and it's a good way to use up your scraps to just kind of do them all at once and then store them in a way that can be helpful down the line. And then the last thing that I want to share as a little way of saving time with sentiments are these dies and stamp coordinating sets. So this one's from Tailored Expressions, and I have this one from LDRS Creative. Each of these has multiples. So like you buy 1 die and then you can stamp multiple stamps that coordinate with it. But you also stamp this as 1 big unit. It doesn't, you know, these aren't the separate sentiments you can peel out. You stamp it all, 1 big stamp, and I have a video about this, and I'll link some other resources below that relate to some of these suggestions. But then I can place this die over that stamped sentiment, and I will cut them all out at one time. And then I'll have a whole bunch of sentiment strips to use. And again, if you like to layer it up a little bit to make your sentiment a bit more prominent, you can then just run this through with this die with scrap cardstock, and you'll have the perfect size layers for them, which can be a nice alternative to foam tape, because that can get kind of pricey. So these sort of sets that cut a bunch of sentiments at one time can be great, and they're almost always themed. So for instance, this is these were both Christmas sets, but I have the Halloween set, a sort of harvest set, there's birthday ones, etc. So if you're like, I'm going to need a lot of thank yous, a lot of birthdays, these can be great. Then the final thing I want to show you about that is Tailored Expressions does make a little storage system for these, because you might think, oh, well, I actually really just need the Merry Christmas today. what am I going to do with all the rest of them? They've created a special storage system that allows you to, so like this whole stack in the storage system is Feliz Navidad, and I have a whole bunch of them cut out. So when it comes time for me to make Christmas cards next year, I have a whole bunch ready to go. And you know, it's not for everyone, because some people think, oh, well, there's, you know, certain sentiments in there I'm just never going to use enough of. But I find it's usually such a small amount of cardstock. If there's really only one or two you think you're not going to use, it can probably still be worth it to cut all the others. And so those are some of my tips for how I save time with sentiments to make at least one part of the card making process faster, and then I can spend a little bit more time coloring in some special images or something like that for my card. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in more crafting tutorials, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I like to share a lot of 6x6 paper pad tutorials and one-sheet wonders, like how to make cards from pattern paper without any scraps, and I show my Copic coloring. And so if you're the kind of person who likes to make a bunch of cards, got a lot of ideas for you. And also, always in the video description, if you are interested in donating your cards, there are card drive resources where you can print free jokes for the inside of your cards and find out places to donate your cards. Thanks so much for watching. Have an awesome day. Bye.